One of the great blessings of my chosen profession is the constant inner exploration that I must enter into that gives me the awareness to be a spiritual leader in a church. As I have struggled with who I am and why I am here, there are many awakenings I've experienced in relation to you as my Father. As I think about you and sense your impact in my life, which is significant, I am aware of some very important gifts that you have given me. Responsibility is high on the list. One of the most outstanding qualities you possess is your willingness to respond to the commitments you make and fulfill them. Whenever it seems to be too much, the commitment too great, it is your influence that gives me the fortitude to see through my responsibility. Even when my marriage was on the rocks, I knew I must find a way to meet my responsibility to the girls. This may seem like an unexpected thing in your mind, and it is that expectation that gives your example great strength and power. Thank you for the gift of responsibility. Integrity is another gift that I have felt blessed to receive. Integrity is more than just telling the truth, which I didn't always do growing up. It is being true to myself and my ideals. It is doing the right thing even when it is easier to make other choices. Beyond that is the desire to know what is right. I remember Garth Haddock once saying to me how much he respected you for your honesty and integrity. At the time, his comments didn't mean that much to me because I was a teenager, but they stuck with me, and I think about them often when I'm confronted with difficult choices. Thank you for the gift of integrity. The gift of self-sufficiency, which is really the willingness to use my hands and to build and create my environment. I probably will never be as knowledgeable as you in the use of my hands in carpentry and other building areas, but the limited skills I have are because of the example you provided. The great satisfaction you gain from the work you've done in building your house instilled in me the possibility of that feeling, and in fact the actual experience in the small projects I have done. Thank you for this wonderful gift. Another gift is the gift of stability. It has been my feeling that you and Mom would always be there, always accept me, always be sure that I would be able to go on. There is tremendous freedom in this feeling. I had the freedom to risk, to grow, to change professions, to pursue directions that have allowed me to stretch my abilities. Thank you for the gift of stability. Not everyone has a sense of humor, the ability to see the humorous side of most situations. You have a wonderful sense of humor, and in some ways it is your most powerful gift. I believe my ability to see the light side of life has given me a great advantage in my profession and in having a happy life. I may not always fully appreciate your jokes or limericks, but I appreciate that you enjoy them, and your enjoyment perhaps opened that door for me. A sense of humor is a great gift, and I thank you for it. The gift of storytelling also comes to mind. You have a wonderful gift or ability to remember and share personal stories. Although I do not do this as much in general conversation, I do use that gift in my ministry as a speaker. Through listening to your stories about the courtroom at dinner, about growing up experiences, and about life in general, I have felt comfortable looking at my experiences as a story to be shared in my Sunday lessons. Thank you for the gift of storytelling. Another quality you possess is the willingness to see others as your equal and relate to them regardless of their status in life or their work. I see so much elitism and am able to not be drawn into this dynamic because of the environment in which I grew up. It did not matter who it was that came by the lake home. You made them equally welcome and always treated them as equals. This is a significant attitude in our society and is helpful to me in keeping perspective and not get drawn into that judgmental mindset that often exists around me. This is a wonderful yet subtle gift, and I thank you for it. I know there are lots of others if I really got into it, but these are the ones that seem to stand out in my mind. This acknowledgement letter is not some impulse, but rather something I've been thinking about for many years and I've been wanting to share. It just never seems to be the right time, and I finally decided I just needed to create the time. I wanted to do more than just say I love you. I wanted to tell you why. And this is just some of the why. So I hope you have a happy 74th birthday. So he wrote back. This is how kind of our relationship, was. It says, "Dear Steve, your beautiful letter of March 9th brought tears to my eyes. And I have reread it many times since. Your mother and I always, well, most always, have been very proud of you and all the things that you have accomplished. Sense of humor. If either one of us or both have inspired you in any way, we're both very grateful. Like most parents, we sometimes become somewhat critical when we think things should go a little differently, as we remember some of the mistakes we made as parents and only hope that our children would avoid those mistakes. I've always regretted that I never took the time to tell my father how much I loved and admired him. He was such an important factor in my life and left me a legacy of honesty and integrity that probably would never be duplicated. I don't believe that it really struck home to me until after he passed away. He was only 72 years old and still practicing law the same as he always did. I had my own practice by that time, but I know that he opened many doors for me just by his fine reputation. That probably never would have happened otherwise. Most of the other lawyers that I came in contact with during that time were very helpful just because I was my father's son. Among the members of the profession at that time, a man's word was his bond, and heaven help the one that broke that rule. I just wish that the same professional integrity existed today as it did 20 or 30 years ago. Last St. Patrick's Day, your mother and I attended a bar function in Wallace and ate corned beef and cabbage at the Kellogg Elks that evening. We were both amazed and gratified at the way we were welcomed with open arms. We hadn't been up there for such a long time and were afraid that we had been forgotten. How wrong we were. As long as your mother and I have the love and respect of our children, we can ask no more. The fact that you took the time to tell me means everything. On a more mundane note, I installed a new hot water tank for the apartment this week. It only took me 3 days working at my speed. All our love to you and Karen and your brood. Dad. When we add to the pleasure, we are the pleasure. And when we recognize that the pleasure is really about us, giving what it is that we have to give to who we have to give it to. So we can bring our Father, if your Father's still alive and you have not connected with him on that level, I would invite you to do that. But even if he's not alive, we can still sit down and make that connection, because I believe that we exist in spirit as well. And so this Father's Day, I just want you to know that you give your Father pleasure by your very existence, by the very fact that you are here and living your life. And it's important to acknowledge that is the truth. And so it is.